Coming up on today's show, we've got some good, juicy free agency rumors surrounding your Cleveland Browns. But quickly, remember to like the video. It really helps the channel out a ton. So if you're looking to support us, hit that thumbs up button. NFL free agency officially kicks off on March 11th. That's when the legal tampering gets underway. So we are less than a week away at this point. So plenty of ground to cover with the Browns always in the mix to make a big move or two. And we're going to talk about what would be two pretty big moves on today's show. So let's start things off by talking about a potential trade, since Andrew Berry is no stranger to making trades. And this one is involving the Chargers wide receiver Mike Williams. I'm going to give the possibility of the Browns trading for Mike Williams to Bernie heads. I think we are above shreds of truth, and we're right there at people are talking, because there are people talking, right? It's not just one person talking about the possibility of Mike Williams getting traded. In this instance, it comes from Mary Kay Cabot at Cleveland.com, who suggested the Browns trade for Mike Williams. However, it has been a heavily discussed topic all offseason long, because the Chargers are in salary cap hell right now, and they could save $20 million by trading Mike Williams. Now, if you don't know, he did suffer a torn ACL in Week 3, 2023. So 9 months after that should have him on pace to return for training camp for 2024. But coming off a torn ACL, approaching that 30-year-old mark, those are definitely concerns that GM is going to heavily weigh into the equation. But here's what Mary Kay Cabot wrote on Mike Williams. The accusation would give Watson a receiver with whom he has a built-in chemistry from their 3 seasons together at Clemson, where they led the Tigers to a 35-31 victory over Alabama for the national championship in 2016-17. With Watson coming off surgery to repair the fractured socket in his right throwing shoulder, he'll need all the help and confidence he can get in 2024. Williams would provide not only an on-the-field connection, but off-the-field friendship and support. If the plan is to go all in on Deshaun Watson, meaning, hey, what moves can we make that we feel are going to best maximize Deshaun Watson versus we really like this guy and it remains to be seen whether or not we should pursue him and it'll be a good fit for Watson, I think they're going to lean towards the first option, which is let's get guys that Watson has familiarity with, because last offseason, Cleveland passed on DeAndre Hopkins, and I wonder if that's something Andrew Berry would like to go back in time and undo. Now, Mike Williams has a stigma of always being injured. Now, he definitely has been on the injury report more often than not in his NFL career, but I mean, you can look just before he tore his ACL this year, from 2019 to 2022, he played a lot of football games. Like, he didn't play a full season, but man, he played pretty darn close to one, and he had a couple of 1,000-yard seasons mixed in there, and that 2021 year was a contract season for him where he really, of course, timed it up very nicely with him getting paid a few months later. But go back to 2016 at Clemson when Mike Williams was catching balls from Deshaun Watson. The two combined for nearly 100 grabs, 1,300 yards, and 11 touchdowns. Now listen, that was 2016. A lot has changed. And I think if you're trying to recreate the past in sports, it's often not going to work. But in this situation, it's not going to cost you a whole lot to get Mike Williams, right? I think it would cost you a 6th-round draft pick. The Browns traded a 5th for Amari Cooper. That Amari Cooper at that time was a much highly valued player than Mike Williams is. So to me, I think the Chargers would be happy to get anything, because otherwise they're just going to have to outright release him, which you could wait to have the Chargers release him and not give up a 6th-round draft pick. But the Browns didn't wait for the Cowboys to release Amari Cooper because they didn't want to risk that player signing elsewhere in free agency. So instead, they coughed up a late day 3 draft pick and got their guy and didn't mess around. So that definitely provides a level of a blueprint or a precedent for how Andrew Berry likes to operate for guys that are highly valuable and are likely going to get released. So would you trade for Mike Williams? Yes or no? For a 6th-round draft pick, I'm in. I mean, this is a team with Ken Dorsey at offensive coordinator now that's going to be running a lot of 11 personnel, right? 11 personnel means one running back, one tight end. 12 personnel is one running back, two tight ends. So if you have one running back and one tight end in the field, that means you have three wide receivers. If you're running a lot of three wide receiver sets, if you're going to have those guys on the field very often, they better be good. They better not just be out there running around for cardio. So I want to see Amari Cooper, Mike Williams provide big body targets on the outside. Put Elijah Moore in the slot, get another speedster in the draft, and let's ride. All right, moving on to the second rumor. How about Christian Wilkins? We have talked about him for a couple of days now, but the smoke continues to come out from the Vatican. It's not quite white yet, but I'm going to give it 2 Bernie heads on Christian Wilkins becoming a Cleveland Brown. This is more than just fairy tales at this stage, right? I think we have graduated from things we'd like to see happen to things that are potentially in the works. So most recently, Daniel Jeremiah, who covers the NFL, of course, for the league, tweeted out, "Not tagging Christian Wilkins caught me off guard." Can you imagine pairing him with either Max Crosby or Myles Garrett? We've got Daniel Jeremiah already putting it out to the universe of Christian Wilkins and Myles Garrett on the same defensive line, tossing Dalvin Tomlinson to stop the run, and Okoronkwo coming off a really strong 2023 campaign, and then get a nice Alex Wright, Isaiah McGuire rotation, and let's ride. God, that's tough to pass on. But it's not just DJ tossing this out, okay? Jeremy Fowler from ESPN wrote, "Houston is intriguing here on Christian Wilkins. The Texans have ample cap space, a quarterback early on a rookie deal, and a playoff roster. There would be several teams in the mix, though. The Browns are always good for a splash or two, for instance. Would they strengthen an already stout defense with the versatile defensive tackle?" We talked about Christian Wilkins earlier this week about coming to the Browns potentially, and I think if you asked me 2 or 3 years ago, I'd say there's no way Andrew Berry signs this guy, right? That's just not in his DNA to pay defensive tackles. However, this is not your average defensive tackle. This is a guy that had 9 sacks last season, and he's got Jim Schwartz as his DC now, who thrives with having very versatile and pass rushing heavy and favorite DTs. But if that's not enough smoke for you, how about this from our new friend at The Ringer, Ben Solik, who wrote, "A star defensive tackle is the final piece missing in an otherwise elite puzzle for Jim Schwartz's unit in Cleveland. While the rotation of Dalvin Tomlinson, Jordan Elliott, Shelby Hurst, and Mo Hurst got the job done in 2023, 3 of those 4 players are not under contract for 2024. Think about what Schwartz did for Fletcher Cox and Jeffrey Simmons, and now slap it on Wilkins' profile. There's no question in my eyes, this would be a great addition. I think this would be the kind of signing that if the Browns truly do kind of write a blank check and go, listen, name your price, we think you are the final piece of what is an elite defense like Ben mentioned, then yeah, I'm on board. My biggest hurdle is, are the Browns going to have deep enough pockets to actually make this work? Because while Jimmy Haslam has had no problem greenlighting spending money, there is, the salary cap. And at some point, that number may just be too big for the Browns to make it work. We have more to get to on Christian Wilkins, but first, I do want to share with you guys this deal going on right now at Fanatics. It's a Cleveland Browns USA themed t-shirt. We've got a lot of warm days coming up here. Barbecue season's coming up. So if you want to support the red, white, and blue while also repping your favorite team, go to chatsports.com/BrownsUSA. And this shirt usually is $35. It's $30 off right now. They're almost paying you to support the best country in the whole wide world. So go ahead and rep your favorite team in the greatest country.
USA.
Yeah, let's go.
USA. USA.
Let's just put Miracle on right now. Just watch all of Miracle. All right.
Oh, yeah.
The entire link is in the comments and description of today's video. So, like I was just talking about, there's no doubt in my mind that signing Christian Wilkins would be awesome. He had 65 tackles, 10 tackles for loss, 9 sacks. He played with Deshaun Watson for a year in Clemson, so that's been brought up. I don't really see why that would factor in at all. I don't think the Browns are making signings based on, well, they were friends in college. Surely that's going to mean we'll win a lot more games in 2024. But I don't know. It fits the narrative, so we'll just toss it in there. But I think that there are some good points to be made about Jim Schwartz as a head coach or as a defensive coordinator or just on the staff in general, has gotten some great play out of interior defensive linemen. And Ndamukong Suh, of course. I mean, he was just a beast at Nebraska. But talk about a perfect fit for him. Jim Schwartz is the head coach. 10 sacks, a career high. Marcel Darius, former first-round pick out of Alabama. His career high, 2014. Guess who his DC was? Jim Schwartz. Fletcher Cox, phenomenal career in Philly. So many good seasons. So many different coaches. But the best season, from a sack perspective, who was his DC? Jim Schwartz. And then, go back to Tennessee, 2021. Jeffrey Simmons, 8.5 sacks, career high. Who was on that staff?
Jim Schwartz.
Jim Schwartz. How about Jordan Elliott last year? Couldn't even fit his name on the screen. He has a career high with who as a DC? Jim Schwartz.
Jim Schwartz.
So, here's the hiccup. The money. Show me the money. Spotrac thinks it's going to cost 4 years, $80 million. That's already a big number right there. I think it's going to be bigger. I think Christian Wilkins is one of the better pass rushers to truly hit the open market.
Jim Schwartz.
In quite some time. I mean, usually we get, a couple great pass rushers, but then they usually get franchise tagged or get re-signed. But, I think you're going to see it be a 5-year, $100+ million contract. I think Christian Wilkins is going to be that heavily pursued. So, could the Browns make it work financially? Maybe. Here are some moves the Browns could make to generate more cap space. They can restructure Deshaun Watson's contract, which Andrew Berry was a little non-committal to doing. If they do that, they generate $33.5 million in cap space. They could I wouldn't say rip up Nick Chubb's contract, but make a new one with a lot of guaranteed money and lower his cap hit. I'm sure both sides would be happy with this. The only con is you need an owner to go, yeah, I'll sign a check right now for $10 million for Nick Chubb. Not all owners will do that. Believe it or not, there are some owners that go, no, I'm not writing a $10 million check right now, okay? Jimmy Haslam would be happy to. If you extend Amari Cooper, you can get up to $15 million in cap space. You can cut Jordan Akins and let's just $2 million, but hey, maybe every dollar counts for getting Christian Wilkins. And you do all that stuff, and you're going to generate just from these 4 moves alone, $58.5 million. Tack on to what over the cap currently has them at right now, which is a little less than $7 million, and now you're talking $65 million in cap space. That could absolutely get Christian Wilkins signed and other players as well. So do you want to sign Christian Wilkins? After listening to me ramble on for him for 5-10 minutes, what do you think? S for sign, P, pass, not worth the money, whatever your reason might be. I do want to hear from everyone watching, though, so don't be a stranger. Scroll on down the comment section and let me know. Which card?
Jim Schwartz.
Motherfucker.
Okay, let me go. Jim Schwartz, we're thinking, Jack of clubs.
Okay, I like it. I had a lot of guys on that list get 10 sacks. Mm-hmm. I think I got to go to 10. 10 of hearts.
Yeah.
All right, you ready? Nope. 3 of diamonds.
Oh, I was
3
close.
of diamonds. Well, that's going to do it for us on today's show. Appreciate you for tuning in. We will sign off and see you later.